Hello, and welcome to the Poker Pros Mental Edge Masterclass, where we'll be showing you the best kept secret to boost focus and endurance to win more money with less effort, without more caffeine or sketchy drugs. My name is Chad T. Grant, co founder and CEO of Anabolic Aces Health Consulting.
And my name is Natasha Hawthorne. I'm CSO and co-founder of Anabolic Aces, and we're going to be guiding you through this masterclass today. So if you're excited, let's dive right in. But first, we need to let you guys know that this training is not for everybody. This training is only for professional poker players who want to increase their expected value and hourly rate. It's for those who want to achieve their maximum earning potential in tournament cashes and beating the live games, even against increasingly tough competition. And it's for those who are ready to take 100% responsibility for their results by investing time and money in healthy lifestyle changes and targeted supplements. And our promise to you in this masterclass is the quicker way to win more money with less effort. In this masterclass, you're going to discover the 5-step system to predictably increase mental focus, memory, endurance, and stress resilience for the ultimate competitive edge at the poker table. And with that, you're going to be able to achieve financial abundance, enjoy your time at the table, and get the recognition and respect that you deserve. So, finish what you start. You guys, stick with us right up until the end for a valuable free offer to help you start winning more games now.
All right, so can you relate to this? Can you relate to, are you tired of sitting at the table trying desperately to concentrate on critical hands, but continuing to lose focus? You find yourself reaching for that third cup of coffee or dicey drug someone gave you during marathon sessions to keep your head in the game? Do you feel angry every time you take a bad beat and start questioning your skills? What about being frustrated by busting out on the bubble in long tournaments because you know you could have cashed? Man, that's really painful. Or do you feel the sharp sting of criticism and shame when your wife or girlfriend shows disappointment with your big bankroll swings? And finally, do you feel anxious and depressed imagining losing your lifestyle freedom and having to get another demanding job? Well, we're here to tell you it's not your fault, because the real problem is that learning more poker strategy to gain an edge has now become a losing game. And here's why we say that. Back, 20 years ago in 1999 here, if you were a shark in the poker world, things were pretty good. It was pretty easy, right? You're the lone shark. There's a lot of fish hanging around. You just swoop into the game. A lot like in Rounders here, one of our all-time favorite poker movies, all of us. And here the two main characters, Matt Damon and Edward Norton, they're just cleaning up this game. There's a bunch of policemen. They don't know what they're doing. These guys are, hustlers in New York, New Jersey, swoop into the game, get a bunch of money. It's really easy. Well, after the poker boom of the last 20 years with online poker, it looks a lot more like this, right? 2003, Chris Moneymaker wins the main event. All of a sudden, everybody's a poker pro. Everybody is studying, reading books, and all of a sudden, it's only sharks that we see here. There's not even any fish anymore. It's, you're playing the main event with 8,000 people. Everybody knows what they're doing. It looks a lot more like something like this with, Elke over here in the top right playing sit and goes, like multi-tables, guys with these big setups, hand tracking software, guys that are grinders over here, like, they're paying for groceries and their mortgage at the table. And there's more and more of these guys all the time, more people that are coming from high powered tech jobs like software engineers and, investment bankers. They're coming into this world because they say, hey, I have this lifestyle freedom now. I can do this and apply my brain power over here. So basically things are not as easy as they used to be. And what you don't see behind those dramatic high stakes games are the endless months and years of practice pouring over those numbers and honing your strategy. You're not playing against machines, you're playing against humans who are always getting better, right? You want to be sitting in a cash game with these guys and you're trying to play your edge out. How much edge do any of these pros here really have over the other one, right? Like they're all pretty good, pretty experienced, have read all the same books, playing all the same games. What edge do they really have over each other learning more? And a good way to explain this in a graphical format is this principle called the Pareto principle, which is a principle that says you're going to get 80% of your results off the 20% of effort that you're putting in. So as we can see on this graph, um, most people, and I mean, this first part of the graph, you can see that where you put your first 20% of effort in, you are getting 80% of your results. And then after that, the next 80% of effort, which, on this graph is going to be in terms of time over here and money and results as in poker, you're only going to be working in this top section of the graph. The problem here is that most people think that this is linear, as in I put in more time, I get more money in this direct. So basically for poker, this would be like I read more poker books, I do more courses on poker strategy, I'm going to get more money. Well, that's not how it really works, right? So an example, say somebody has put in, approximately 50% or, 500 hours, let's say, of poker skill, strategy, training, courses, all this kind of stuff. And they might think, oh, well, I'm over here in the middle, um, over here, and I still have, I can double my effort by just studying more, going from 50 to 100. Well, problem is you're actually up here already. There's this big gap between where you think you are and where you really are. And most poker pros, like that last group we're talking about, or probably like yourself, are really in this really diminishing returns area of this graph where they're learning tons and tons and tons of more strategy and trying to get better and better to compete against people, but they're only really making these tiny little gains. Well, what if there was a new way, a totally new approach to this, where you could get back into this really fat section of the curve? We're getting huge ROIs when you putting in small amounts of time and energy, getting massive gains in your results. Wouldn't that be exciting? Well, the good news is we've built the first 5-step system to increase focus, memory, and emotional stability to beat more poker games in less time. And the key to your success is going to be shown really shortly in this 5-step process here. And with this framework, imagine the confidence that you'll feel calculating every angle at the table with ease. And like Daniel here, he's reading this guy, knows they have aces. Instead of losing a big hand and a big pot in a tournament, you're going to be able to read and calculate angles like this, which is going to be super, super, um, just the confidence. It'll be super calm to feel like that at the table. And imagine your personal pride and validation when you're consistently cashing in some of the world's most prestigious tournaments, like Peter Eastgate here won in the main event a few years back with a big pile of cash, all the chips, and just how much validation that's going to give this feelings of pride for yourself. And finally, imagine the smiles of approval on the faces of friends and family when you have reliable financial stability. Instead of your significant other, your wife, your girlfriend, your kids being like, "Oh man, I can't believe you lost another big tournament buy-in." It's like, man, you're really stable now, and that's really awesome.
And you guys, the best part is that you don't have to take ineffective prescription drugs with damaging side effects, as some of you may have experienced in the past. You don't have to guess which supplements are going to make a real difference for you. And again, some of you may have experimented with supplements and maybe you did or didn't get the results. And you don't have to eat bland foods. You don't have to spend all day at the gym. And you don't have to waste years of your precious time on trial and error using conflicting advice from books and articles, which you also probably have experience with. And the only reason that we can share this with you is because we've been through this, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And here's a little bit of an intro about us. Before we go much further, we're just going to tell you who we are so you know who is talking to you. We're Chad and Natasha. We're certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners, and we're co-founders of Anabolic ACEs Health Consulting. We specialize in coaching programs to help motivated men restore and upgrade their brain power to reach their peak potential. And we kick ass and take names. Just saying. And here's an intro about Chad. Chad is the CEO of our company. He's a writer, he's a speaker, he's also a poker player. As you can see in that picture, what you can't see in that picture, he's got aces tattooed up his sleeve. He is a podcast host, and our podcast is called Aces Audio, as you can see on that picture. Chad holds a BA in psychology from University of California, Santa Barbara. He used to work as a mental health counselor, and also he worked as a Ferrari auto technician. How cool is that, huh? And Chad also has advanced training in functional brain chemistry, which is incredibly applicable to our program.
And I'll introduce Natasha Hawthorne here. Natasha is the CSO of the company. She is also a heart driven light goddess, inspires everyone around her. She competes in pole dance and also aerial arts, which is pretty cool. Fits right in with the Vegas lifestyle. She's also certified in Pilates, teaches classes, and that is just overall an all around awesome coach. Natasha's educational background is in organic chemistry, where she worked in medicinal chemistry research and drug development. So she knows all about the awesome interactions with biochemistry and how to really create some strong changes in that area. And she also has advanced training in functional blood chemistry, which again is super applicable to what all the information we're going to show you in this training here. And even though we're now sought after experts in this area, we want to let you know that things certainly weren't always this way. And we'll show you what we mean. This was our life before, where I was following the beer and pizza diet. I had gained about 60 pounds, was smoking cigars, living the fun lifestyle here. And my brain wasn't working as good as it used to be. We used to think self-indulgence was cool, eating crappy food and just dealing with that stuff, and it's going to be fine. It's kind of the ignorance is bliss attitude. And it took us going through about a decade of that before we reached rock bottom, where we had basically two broken brains. We both had a lot of mental symptoms like feelings of anxiety and depression, and we that resulted in a lot of lost jobs, of not really feeling like we fit in, not feeling happy. It resulted in both of us getting divorces, and there's a lot of pain around that, splitting up families and things. And three different abandoned careers. Like, I abandoned my career at that awesome Ferrari dealership that I was working at. Didn't want to continue in my psychology career because I wasn't really feeling emotionally stable to do that. And it really was a super painful process. You want to add to that, Natasha? You're
Yeah, my abandoned career involved what I really loved doing was in research chemistry, but yeah, with life circumstances and a lot of brain fog and just kind of not really feeling my best, it resulted in an abandoned career.
And so because of that, we were like, you know what, we're not going to go out like that. We made a commitment to become our own health detectives. We spent the next decade just reading, learning, and analyzing everything we could in the functional medicine world, going to conferences, just sucking in information like a sponge. And so our big breakthrough was that we finally realized a truth that we'd been missing the whole time that was like really slowing us down. And it might sound a little bit like a conspiracy theory, but as I like to say, if they're really out to get you, it's not a conspiracy. So the truth we discovered was that conventional medical advice on brain health is really propaganda that's quietly financed and marketed by the drug and food industries. And the problem with this is that they're not really looking out for you, they're looking out for themselves in the bottom line. And they're giving you, giving us and you, all the population, bad information that's serving themselves. And it's not really giving people the best ways to perform to be their best. So our big discovery was that there is no one thing that's going to heal the brain. You can't just take one pill or one, exercise, one thing by itself to have awesome brain performance. There's only going to be a combination of carefully executed strategies that's ever going to get the job done. And that's what we built in our proprietary process we're going to show you pretty soon here. And the payoff for this was that we had upgraded brain power. We're able to finally have that stability in our brains to be able to create and do the things we wanted to. So we regained our focus, memory, and endurance at a high level. And what that let us do in our particular instance was build a thriving business. You can see me here at the Paleo FX conference this past year, repping our business that we built from the ground up, and we wouldn't be able to do that and to find joy and connection in our purpose and our life without overcoming all those struggles. And so our life now is a lot more fun. So here's us, chilling at our desk right now that we're recording this at. This is how we roll on a day-to-day basis. And the side benefit of that is that our bodies look pretty good too, which is kind of a cool. When you fix one thing, you fix everything. So that's kind of a side benefit of this whole brain power process, is that losing your gut, losing that extra fat around the middle is a pretty big bonus here. So in short, better brain power, kicking ass and taking names.
All right, you guys. So you and us, we're pretty similar. We're no superheroes. We're just regular people who went through hell and back. And so if we can do this, you can too. And we're going to show you how to do this. Stick with us. So just imagine what a relaxed and confident life looks like when you have a supercharged brain. Like, look at this guy. He's just kind of chilling on the beach. He's not super stressed. He's not super worried. So, we're here. We're going to talk about discovering the real problem.
So let's dive into the poker edge secret number one, which is that focusing only on skills and strategy misses the big picture. And a good example of this in a different industry is F1 racing. I've been watching a lot of F1 racing on TV lately, and I was watching this dedication to these drivers when they're really in it. And there's such tight margins. Like in this pack, you can see these guys are like literally wheel to wheel sparks flying off. And if they hit, one little bump in the road, the car's flying 200 miles an hour into the wall. And I was like, man, this is like these guys all have the same cars. They have the same skill sets. Like they've all been racing go karts since they were like 3 years old. It's like, where's the edge in this, right? And they're using all these regulations in that the cars, there's so much, all the cars and manufacturers, they have to design everything within a certain parameter. You can't just have like one car that has double the horsepower or something. So they're always grinding out these super, super tiny edges. So it was interesting watching these shows that were about behind the scenes of the drivers. It's like, what are they doing to get an edge, right? So this is a cool some cool information on one of the labs that they do with one of these F1 racing teams, where you can see here all these different things that they're doing. Like they're looking at cognition time, reaction time, and doing drills for that. They're looking at metabolic rate. They're looking at strength and power. They're looking at hydration, electrolytes, nutrition to maximize these drivers' ability to perform under these high demands of racing, which is kind of cool. It's like an elite athlete, right? These guys take it seriously. They're racing for millions of dollars, or I mean, maybe hundreds of millions, billions. I don't know at this point. F1 is a pretty expensive sport, so basically they take this seriously. A lot like other sports, like professional football or professional soccer. It's the same thing. Then they invest millions of dollars in their athletes. They take this stuff seriously. Um, and this is a good example of one of the things that would be really counterintuitive, like a novel approach, a different angle, right? Where this F1 drivers, they have to have a lot of head strength to be able to turn their head in the car at high speeds, which I never would have thought of. And they do these really interesting trainings of like, pushing a sled with a guy pulling on their neck to increase those muscles. It's really cool, right? Well, all right. So what's this have to do with poker? In poker, we're all like we said earlier, we're all reading the same books. We're all using relatively the same tactics, the same strategies. We're all reading about sit and goes and multi-table tournaments and cash games. And just like me, I've read in my poker days, the last decade or so of being a pretty serious player myself. You read probably tens of thousands of pages of books like this, and when I sit down at the table, pretty much everyone's read all the same stuff and we're all playing with the same rules, the same cards. So where's our edge, right? It seems to be evaporating. Like we were saying, the more educated everyone is, the less edge you can get just from learning more. And this is an example of a cool research study we found recently, which really shows this. As in, they're even making AIs now. This is recent as of 2017 that they've now created several. There's this one called DeepStack, but there was a few other ones when I was researching this on PubMed that they've actually made multiple UIs now that can defeat pro poker players playing No Limit Texas Hold'em, which is like, how long is that until that makes it in its way into the hand tracking software, the HUD interfaces that most pro online players are using? It's like this is nullifying this edge that people used to have of just like I'm like a hot shot, and I'm a shark in with all the fish here. So what if there was a new approach that was hiding in plain sight? And that's exactly what we're here to show you guys today. That if we're all running relatively similar poker software in our brains, what if you upgraded your brain hardware instead? And a good analogy for this would be, a way to think about this would be like if you wanted to build the most badass gaming computer, right? This big, beautiful thing with like liquid cooled, whatever this thing's going on here to run the most awesome video game. This is pretty normal thing on the internet if you search around on this to be like, oh, you're going to build this big gaming rig and here's all the stats and things. Well, how would you actually do this? So if you wanted to build it piece by piece, you're going to look at all the components and you're only ever going to be as fast as your slowest component, which means if you have, say an awesome RAM setup, but you have a crappy graphics card and your CPU, cooling fans are not working, You can't outdo any of these pieces. And this is pretty common, right? Pretty understanding that if you want the best computer, you got to match and tune everything. Well, the thing we're here to show you guys today with a lot of this content and the rest of this masterclass is that your brain is very similar. As in, if we're looking here at brain fog and cloudy thinking as what we basically our symptom that we're going to look at. If we're sitting at the poker table, we're not able to focus and we're feeling like we have brain fog, we just want to increase our memory and learning and our mood quality so we don't, go on tilt and we get a bad beat. This is what all other things that we need to look at, where there's all this other opportunity. There's hidden opportunity in all these different things, looking at hormones, looking at the foods we're eating, how they metabolize in the brain, looking at the skeletal system and, muscle tissue, how those affect hormones like testosterone, all the stuff. Detoxification is huge. The poker lifestyle, if we're sitting in smoky casinos and being relatively sedentary, how are we going to detox the body? All this is massive, massive ROI that we could get for the brain. And this is not just, a mental thing, it's actually structural and physical. And this is basically an extreme case of this with Alzheimer's disease where this is the ultimate brain degeneration where you take a healthy brain, which is actually volume of the brain does really correlate to health. As in the more that the brain shrinks and the more unhealthy it gets, which you actually see on the neuron cellular level, where there's actually plaques and these cells in the brain just get literally diseased and they start shrinking down. Well, the opposite is true though too. Instead of having this progression downwards, we can actually increase and strengthen connections so that we have more memory power, processing power, and focus. And this is a really cool study that came out. This was actually probably one of the most groundbreaking studies in functional medicine that came out just 2 or 3 years ago, 2016, where this was a protocol with people that had a pretty advanced Alzheimer's disease, and they showed that patients with the cognitive decline who were treated with this called the MEN protocol, but basically a functional medicine protocol, had huge gains. And the stats aren't all shown here, but there was things like like 80% increase in memory and things like that, with massive, massive gains and huge quality of life things, magnitude of improvement that was unprecedented. Like these researchers were shocked. This was so good. And this is really proving that it's not true anymore that, if your brain is starting to decline or you've been living a relatively unhealthy lifestyle, that you can't get back to health. This is like a huge, huge thing. And what we're going to do in the rest of this training is we're going to show you exactly how we can apply these kind of results to your specific situation as you're trying to play poker, you're trying to increase focus, and you want to win more money. Well, we can use the same awesome functional medicine toolkit that we've learned along our journey to apply to poker playing. And we like to say, Albert Einstein likes to say, to make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. And we totally agree with this. And that's why instead of oversimplifying, like a lot of information is, we decided to make our winning poker process to have 5 different steps.
So I'm going to walk you guys through what these steps are, and then we're going to dive into some more information in just a minute. So the first step in our proprietary winning poker process is test. And what we do is we run some pretty targeted functional tests and we get actionable data now instead of wasting years on getting kind of confusing information or no information at all. The second step we take is called fuel, where we provide a plan to get you fueled up with clean food and clean products, eliminate the toxic lifestyle as much as possible so that you can feel better right away. The next step is hack. And this is kind of one of our favorite steps, where we get to do all the research behind the scenes and find the best supplements that fit for your exact situation. They're going to correct all of your deficiencies and dysfunctions so that you no longer have to suffer with them. The next step is we're going to charge you up. We're going to talk about how to rest, how to live a stress-free life, to reduce overwhelm and anxiety so that you can feel at the top of your game. And finally, we're going to talk about the step that we call FIRE, which is efficient exercise. And this is where we can get into details about how to do that as a poker player with the specific lifestyle of a poker player, including travel and sitting in the casinos for long periods of time or sitting at your computer without wasting hours in the gym, without wasting energy, so you can get your lifestyle back on track. So this is our proprietary winning poker process: test, fuel, hack, charge, and fire.
Awesome. So, with that, let's dive into poker edge secret number two, which is that deep lab test data is necessary for maximum brain performance. Now, this is different than, say, a standard doctor's blood test, which is kind of like taking a quick glance under the hood but skipping the full inspection. The real question is, how fast do you want to go, right? So, if insurance covered practitioners are too restricted to help you make gains in focus, memory, and processing speed, because, why is that going to be? Because of legislation and government and healthcare. The way things work is that most healthcare services, they have to be deemed medically necessary. They're only that if they're needed to diagnose or treat an illness, injury, condition, or disease. And that's straight off of like Medicare.gov, which basically is the the mandates that insurance companies are going to use. So it's like, hey, go to your friendly neighborhood doc, or even honestly, functional medicine doc or naturopathic doc. Still, if they're working the insurance model, they're going to be really limited with this. To say, hey, I want to upgrade my brain power, it's just not really going to happen. And why is it like that? I mean, it's kind of sad to say, but it's because of corporate profits, greed, and maintaining a status quo and existing business model. Because frankly, your brain health is not their primary business concern. But luckily for you, it is ours. We like to say around here, let's get a couple of things straight. We don't do fine, we don't accept things the way they are, and we don't stop innovating. And this is from my man Steve Jobs. And I love this quote from them. This is from that movie Jobs that was about his life, where it's shown him here as a hustler, trying to make it big with his computers and stuff. And it's like he didn't get from, being some punk kid in college to developing the best, phones. I think most people agree the best phones, the best computers in the world by settling for okay. So it's like in this situation, we're not going to settle for that either. We're not going to take this kind of slow boat approach to our brains. If we got money, we got things to do, we got tournaments to win, we got cash games to dominate, we're not going to keep going so slow with that. And some proof to back this up is we hear this quote thrown around a lot in our world that there's a 17-year delay, and this is a study actually proving a 17-year delay between most cutting edge health research and even drug discovery to commercialization takes 17 years. So the real question is, would you wait 17 years to upgrade something like your phone? Look at this phone from 2002. Is that how you're going to be rolling? Is that what you're going to take to the World Series and you're going to be dominating people? With that, no, you want the latest and greatest thing. So how does that apply to functional health and poker? How's this bringing this all together? It's like, well, if like we just talked about with the medical system, conventional medicine is down here in the bottom. We're in the 0 to 20% diagnosed condition only serious disease. Well, obviously we're not going to be kicking butt and winning the most poker games with that kind of approach to our health, right? We already know that our brain hardware is what we need to succeed in this new angle. We know we're going to want to get up to the top of the optimal function end of the scale. So the next thing is going to be natural medicine. And we love natural medicine. We have our own naturopaths. We think it's awesome. We actually work with some naturopaths in developing this program as well. The problem is any of them that are using, again, like the insurance model, they're not really going to be able to get things covered above this no symptom level about 50%. As you can see, we have this whole, again, 50% of the scale that's headroom. So functional health is the new way of the future. And basically any functional health practitioner worth of salt, whether they're, an MD, an ND, a chiropractor, or functional health coaches like us that work with a lot of those professionals on our treatment team here, we're going for 100% function. We're getting the best as possible. So if you're, say, imagining sitting at, the November 9 at the World Series of Poker, where do you want to be on this scale? Do you want to be walking in with your A game, rocking at, 80, 90, 100%, or do you want to be down here at 20, 30%? Well, I know where I don't want to be. So the better way to do all this that we do in our program, in our winning poker process, and our brain power blueprint program that we'll tell you more about later, is we use the top 3 cutting edge and evidence-based functional test panels to identify the root causes of symptoms like brain fog, insomnia, anxiety, and depression, which is, the research we've done on most poker players, probably you're suffering from at least one, if not maybe all of these, if you're living the professional poker pro grinder lifestyle. I know I've suffered with all these things, and so has Natasha.
So in our program, what we actually do is we run functional tests for each system in the body. And that's not to say like every possible system in the body, but each system that's actually important. And as you can see in the center of this diagram that you've already seen before is kind of a term that our program, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, coined, metabolic chaos. So what symptoms do you have? Kind of doesn't really matter. It's all metabolic chaos. Do you have, imbalances in your carb metabolism? Maybe you do, and maybe that contributes to your metabolic chaos, and that's all part of that. Do you suffer from memory, learning issues? Do you have poor quality sleep? Do you have brain fog, cloudy thinking? It's all contributing to metabolic chaos. Do you have imbalances in your hormone systems? Maybe you do, and that's contributing to metabolic chaos as well. And conversely, as you can see, all of these arrows in this diagram are bidirectional. So whatever is contributing to your metabolic chaos, from there you can develop things like weight and fat distribution. So weight gain is often a symptom, and that could be related to something that's not that close in your body, like, for example, your brain health. Same thing with your detox. You're sitting in that casino, and maybe it's smoking in there, or perhaps you're not being served the best food, and that's kind of disturbing your detox capacity, which is contributing to your metabolic chaos, which might be disrupting your hormones, which might be disrupting your memory and learning and giving you brain fog and cloudy thinking, which is all affecting your game, right, you guys? So hopefully this diagram makes a lot of sense to you. When we saw this, it made all the sense in the world to us, and this is kind of what helped us put all these puzzle pieces together and create our winning poker process and our awesome program.
Yeah, and this is a good example. We like to do an overview here on the difference in the timeline and the roadmap here between conventional insurance-based system, natural medicine, and functional health. So the first way that we showed this conventional route, you're going to get some general advice. You're going to, wait and see, do some blood work, get some prescriptions, and then you see as the years go by here, you're just going to, well, just give you some more prescriptions. Maybe we'll do a surgery. We'll cut the part out that's not working, right? Well, don't get a headache, as one of our mentors like to say, let's cut your head off. So that's not really a cool approach. So the natural one's a little bit better, right? We're going to get a little more blood work. Maybe we're going to, maybe do some natural supplements that are more effective than some of those drugs that are just masking the symptoms. But still, we're going to hit these plateaus because eventually we're just going to run out of gas, basically. Insurance company's not going to pay for it. So our way, the better way we like to think, is to do a suite of functional labs immediately. There's 3 functional tests, match them, each one of them with 3 to 5 specific supplements for your specific biochemistry needs. Get all the data now, address everything at once in a sustainable way to address that underlying metabolic chaos, and have a whole support system with accountability and support from 2 health coaches now. As we scale this business, we're going to add on more and more coaches. We already partner with several doctors and support people on our clinical team. And what this adds up to is going to be real results in 6 months. We get this accountability. We have a private Facebook group. We have an online education portal that really is going to teach you all in depth how to go through each one of these things in your specific situation. As a poker player at the table, it's like the cliff notes, basically. What do you need to know for the highest ROI, again, to get the maximum out of your 80% results and 20% energy? And a good example of this is one of our clients, Rion, where he was working for 13 years, like not even 6 years, double that, with all his medications, working on his health. And he was frustrated because people were not focusing on the actual core of the problem, like it says here. They're just looking at the symptoms. And he's like, with us, with Chad and Natasha, Rion was back on track in less than 6 months, and that this system works. So, cheers to you, Rion, for investing in yourself. And this, this can be you, basically.
So moving on to Poker Edge secret number 3. Cheap food and products are stealing your money. And we're going to explain to you guys what we mean by that, but this is real. Here's the truth bullet. Hidden toxins in specific foods can directly cause mental fatigue, brain fog, poor concentration in an otherwise healthy brain. And what does that do? That directly affects your poker game. It directly affects your results and your earnings and your winnings, right? So here's an analogy that Chad likes to describe, having been a Ferrari mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, you can see this Enzo Ferrari here, this beautiful machine. I mean, I don't know how much remember this thing costs, but now it's like basically a collector's item, super rare. It's got to be in millions of dollars. And it's like, how are you going to treat that thing? Like, look at these guys. Obviously, this one's getting pounded in like Dubai or something like that. Just left it out in the dirt next to these Hondas and Toyotas. Just, just rotting. And it's just, what a shame. You have this brilliant, beautiful machine, one of the, rare thing, only a few of them in the world, and you're just going to leave it out collecting dust. And this is basically what most people, again, because it's not their fault, it's not your fault either, you just don't know what to do. You don't know that walking into that smoky casino, eating that crappy food while you're playing a $10,000 buy-in tournament is the equivalent of leaving your Ferrari out in the dirt here. Like, that's basically with this brilliant high performance machine of your brain, you get to treat it like that. You treat the hardware here. This is a hardware, a beautiful machine. You need to respect it and nourish it and clean it, right? Keep it a garage, a climate controlled environment, waxing, washing, all that kind of stuff, so that it can be the most pristine machine, so it can perform. You don't want to bring it out there, it's got the oil, has never been changed, all this kind of stuff. And similar to that with the brain, did you know that certain reactive foods can cause gut and brain inflammation for up to 6 months? And this is not known. Most people think, oh, I just ate a crappy meal last night, I'll, sleep it off and I'll be fine in the morning for the tournament. No, there can be lingering effects. And we could go on for a whole nother hour just on the science of, microglia cells in the brain and inflammation cycles. We won't bore you with that right now, but just trust us, it's not a good thing. And this is a cool graphic we like to show about what's commonly called as leaky gut, which is also intestinal permeability, is a fancy way to say that. But the short story in this is basically that you got a bunch of bugs living in your gut. And when you eat certain inflammatory foods or chemicals or different things that are a lot of times hidden, they basically poke holes in your gut and stuff leaks through, which is really not good. This is the root of a whole bunch of inflammation, and leaky gut leads right to leaky brain. So all these toxins are leaking through right into your bloodstream, going right up to your brain, causing you brain fog, and frankly, costing you could be millions of dollars in your earnings. So that's not good. Here's a study to back that up from a journal called Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, where they talk about in all of us, not just some people, not just people with celiac disease, not the stuff that's really common misinformation. In all of us, all humans, inflammatory foods make the gut more permeable and prompt the immune system to attack brain tissues that resemble them. This is bad. It's called cross-reactivity, and release opioid-like compounds capable of causing mental derangement if they make it to the brain. And that's a pretty, scary way of saying that, but that's your anxiety, that's your depression, that's your brain fog, is that literally the brain can be attacking itself, trying to get rid of these inflammatory things. And this is a huge problem. So what's our solution going to be? Are we going to do more diet guesswork here? We're going to go around in circles trying to follow the media cycle, read every book out there? Well, you know what? We already did that for 10 years. So we've already found the shortest route from A to Z to get the best foods for brain performance, specifically for a career like poker. And that's our better way, to use cutting edge lab testing to identify and eliminate the specific foods and toxins that are affecting you right now, not just everybody or most people, but you specifically, taking, your own fluids, bodily, samples of bodily fluids from your body to get the specific foods, so you don't have to eliminate everything, and to heal the gut so that you plug the holes and you don't have more leaks, so you get lasting results.
And here's an example of another one of our clients, Andy. He came to us and, kind of wanted to just increase his performance. Andy was, he was doing pretty well. He was doing okay, but he knew that he had more potential. He had, more brain power that he couldn't tap into. He wanted a more toned body. And that's exactly what he got from working with us. Andy's been great. He's been super compliant, and he saw the results from working with us. And this is his testimonial. I'm not going to read every word of it, but you can kind of see. And, he acknowledged our knowledge and our passion about what we do, and that really shows through our work. And so Andy was able to get some great results, and he was pretty happy after working with us. So that's another happy client and a testimonial. And now we're going to move on to Poker Edge secret number 4. Here's the secret. Supplements heal while drugs conceal. Did you guys know this? Drugs conceal your symptoms. They just mask them, but they don't actually go away. And supplements have the power to heal the underlying root causes. And here's one of the studies from another journal, but found on PubMed, that basically talks about how cognitive and performance enhancing medications, CPMs, Most commonly, as you know, you guys may have already tried, things like amphetamines, benzodiazepines, and things like that were used specifically in poker players to increase focus, to calm nerves, to stay awake, as well as caffeine and marijuana. But unmonitored use of pharmacologically active agents and methods of acquisition highlights safety concerns. So yeah, you guys might be using some of these things to get some of these results, but there are definitely safety concerns. And also there could be counterindications with some of these medications that you might not be aware of. So here's the truth bullet. Amphetamines, caffeine, weed, and alcohol provide only perceived or temporary boosts while missing the hidden problems and even causing harm, which is basically what I just kind of described. You're masking your symptoms, but you're not really addressing the root cause, and you might be doing more harm than good. And this is one of our favorite triple board certified psychiatrists that we follow and learn from. Here's a quote that she wrote: "What if I told you that the vast majority of the time taking an antidepressant for depression is like taking Tylenol for a shard of glass in your foot? Wouldn't you rather just remove it, it being the shard of glass? You might not even know that removal is an option if you believe that depression is an inherited disease and you're destined to struggle with it for life. So we're here to tell you guys that you can remove that shard of glass in your foot. You're not destined to live with it. It's not just, written in stone that once you have a symptom like depression that you're destined to live with that. It is reversible. We already showed you a slide on Alzheimer's disease, and that's also reversible. All these things are possible. There are healing opportunities. Here's an example of the prescription drug cascade. So what starts out as, stress, poor diet, chemical exposure, in just kind of everyday life. For example, you're sitting at a poker tournament in a casino, you're experiencing stress, you might not be eating the best diet, you're exposed to smoke and maybe alcohol and things like that. That can lead to physiological imbalances. And then people typically seek medications to suppress their single symptoms. And that's kind of the whole paradigm of the traditional medical system, is a pill for an ill, right? I'm sure you've heard that. A single drug can suppress one single symptom, and that's how they're designed. I used to work in drug discovery research, so I'm super familiar with how this process works. And from there, though, down the cascade, you're actually creating physiological imbalances, which leads to complex multi-system syndromes. So what drug discovery and the traditional medical system misses is that taking one single medication to suppress one single symptom can actually lead to a cascade of multiple symptoms. And that's how people end up with starting with one prescription, then they end up with two, and then three, and so on. And it turns into a drug prescription cascade.
Yeah, and a good example of this specifically, like probably the drug that most poker players have tried, like that study was talking about, would be amphetamines. It's probably the thing, either you get a prescription for it, your buddy has a bottle that he sells you, whatever. Well, what's the problem with doing that, right? Well, in this study, it's one of the things they showed that it proves is it causes a long-lasting depletion of dopamine and the uptake sites. And also that those amphetamines and metabolites have toxic interactions with the dopaminergic neurons. And what is dopamine? Let's do a quick thing on that. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, which is like a chemical messenger in the brain that some of you may have heard of. It's associated with pleasure seeking. It's one of the main neurotransmitters that affects things like gambling behavior. So if you're sitting at a table and you're like, hey, maybe I should go for that gut shot straight draw, I think I might just gamble here, your dopamine levels are going to highly, highly affect that. So this is not something that we want to be dysregulated in our brain. So taking an amphetamine for focus, but then screwing up your dopamine, it's also going to it's just not a good plan. It's not a good efficiency high ROI plan. It's also going to affect things like your testosterone, which is not, again, is going to be affecting your mood, your drive, your ambition. It's just not something you're going to want to screw up. And this study, happens to be in children, but it's humans. It's just because, it's ridiculous that children are basically getting quantified with this ADHD stuff where they're just kind of hyperactive. They're subject to the same stressors that adults are. But this applies totally to adults as well. As in what they showed here was super interesting, that After an initial increase in ADHD symptoms with amphetamines, as the drug they're talking about in this study, there was actually, at 3 years, there was a deterioration in the medicated group. And by 6, they were getting even worse, with worse attention and behavioral symptoms than in unmedicated controls, which is ridiculous, right? They're taking, like, Natasha was saying, you're taking a drug to mask a symptom, but you're actually getting functionally worse over time. So if a poker player trying the same strategy, you might try this for focus, and then later you're going to be actually worse than you started. So this is just a really poor approach. And luckily we have a better way to show you in a minute here. But, first of all, like, you might say, okay, well, let me try out one of these cool natural supplement stacks you might be able to get at Whole Foods in the checkout line or something. I'll get this big brain booster stack. I'm going to call it any of our buddies here that this is actually it's a pretty good stack, to tell you the truth. One of the best, I think, if I was going to do a one-shot stack. But the thing is, one size fits all is not good for everybody because everybody's different. Like we said, individual biochemistry is different. So you can see here the two main ingredients, one of the two main ingredients that would affect brain performance in this stack would be tyrosine and caffeine. So we're going to explore a little bit of those, the deeper side of that. Where tyrosine, this is one of our buddies, Dr. Ben Lynch. You can see he's hanging out with him at PaleoFX before. He lives in Seattle next to us. He wrote a book on genetics and how environment influences your genes and how you can use natural compounds and nutraceuticals to improve brain performance. Well, he talks about tyrosine specifically here, where he says protein provides tyrosine, which is a nutrient that one of the enzymes, the COMT enzyme in the body, can use to break down. So if you give your body and brain a lot of tyrosine, you could potentially slow down that enzyme for the right person. Again, not for everybody, but somebody, for some people. And how are you going to know? Well, the testing like we do, that's how you're going to know, long story short. But if you overclock tyrosine, like you just take this one size fits all supplement stack, you can end up with anxiety. So now, great. Okay, you took this thing to focus, but now you're getting anxious because you overclocked it. Because, again, it can crank up your dopamine levels too high. And it's like, okay, well, why all this guesswork? Why are we just doing that, right? And another example of this with, okay, well, fine, I'll just have that third cup of coffee at the table to, my eyes are bleeding, but I'll just keep drinking coffee. Well, caffeine increases energy metabolism, as everybody knows. Okay, it picked me up, but it's also decreasing cerebral blood flow, blood to the brain. And it also affects, again, the local release of dopamine. And again, affects your anxiety and sleep. So it's like, okay, I'm wired now at the table, but now I'm anxious. I can't fall asleep, get a crappy night's sleep, and now I'm crap at the next day in the tournament. So really, none of these solutions that are typically, there's such a better way to do this. And that's what we do all the time. Again, this is a shot of my desk building one of our badass hot rod customized supplement protocols. This is actually building my own protocol. So I was taking this one seriously, where we're doing things like looking at deep analysis in the functional labs and specifically matching supplements to each biochemistry marker for a functional lab test guided, fully customized protocol for safe and effective healing, not just for reducing symptoms, but for actually healing the structures in the brain. So it's really kick ass.
All right, you guys. So finally, we're moving on to Poker Edge secret number 5. And the secret is that small mental and physical breaks can add up to big brain power boosts. So what we're saying here is that you don't have to spend hours meditating like this guy over here, although we're not saying that you shouldn't, that you can't, but we're saying you don't have to. And alternatively, also, you don't have to spend hours in the gym to keep your body in shape and to get that brain power boost. So this is me, actually, on the right, not on the left. I guess you can tell which one is me. But this is an example of perfect versus practical. So the guy on the left here is some kind of CrossFit champion. I don't actually know who he is, but he looks pretty damn good. He's in shape, right, you guys? So what he's doing is demonstrating proper form, perfect body positioning for lifting a heavy weight. What I'm doing on the right here is lifting a suitcase at the airport. I don't have perfect form, but I have trained and I know how to practically lead my life and pick up a suitcase when I need to do that. When I'm traveling and I have to put the suitcase in an overhead bin, I know how to do that without injuring myself, even if I don't have perfect form. And that's one of the things that we go over in our program. And here's an example of guy meditating, and that's also something that we cover in our program, in our winning poker process, where you could take kind of small, breaks for your mental health. You can meditate in a busy environment. You don't have to be isolated in a dead quiet room to get your kind of mind back on track, we have ways and techniques and tips and tricks to show you guys how to do that in very busy, noisy environments where you can still get that boost for your brain that you desperately need at the end of a long day. And here's Chad doing some targeted brain-specific exercises and taking some recovery breaks. And that's also something we cover in our program, is like really targeted exercises that we've developed over time that help to increase, for example, blood flow to the brain, so you can sit back down, return to your game, and you can think more clearly and have better performance.
Yeah, so that brings us back around to the overall map. We figured out the roadmap to thriving, not just surviving, with our winning poker process with test, fuel, hack, charge, and fire to give you like all 5 bullets, fire all of them, get the job done all at once. But you shouldn't go with this alone. And here's why. We have spent all the countless hours sitting researching, so you don't have to, right? You don't want to waste your own time trying to go through all this stuff and spend a decade figuring this out. Right? You got things to do, you got tournaments to win. So why are you going to waste time with that? You don't want to waste more money trying a bunch of ineffective strategies, like trying supplements that don't work or all these different things. Like you don't want to waste money on, endless more coaching programs and things, which are still going to be thousands of dollars. And they're only going to get you those tiny little edges, right? You don't want to take the wrong test and just go on, go on the internet and try to start taking random tests. Well, we already know how to interpret all that stuff, and you're not going to have to try to be scratching your head and trying to put this puzzle together. We've already developed this whole roadmap. And again, you're not going to want to, just take that grocery store supplement where it might overclock you or actually make you even worse. That's the last thing you want to be guesswork with supplements and taking something at a critical moment where you actually overbuzz yourself. We've already done this. We've already done all the trial and error, made those mistakes ourselves. We know exactly how to do it in a safe and effective, reliable manner, and, wrong dosages and all that stuff. And so trust me, don't be this guy. This is actually me and Laughlin doing some gambling myself. And this was back before I discovered functional health. And I was just, zoned out, man, just looking chubby, feeling slow, like foggy thinking. That's why I put up this picture, because it's like you don't want to be like I was just clocked out, giving up, not really caring. We don't have to go out like that. We can build long-term value if we focus on the right things, if we focus on building up a solid foundation from the bottom. And what does this look like? Well, on the positive side, we're going to have, we're taking care of our physiological needs, our body with our brain health is what this comes down to. We're going to have those big gains, like 100K plus per more a year. If you're, cashing even one major cash in a tournament or a big run in cash games, you're going to get that big boost, where you can get 100K per year or more. It could be $1 million, if multiple millions, if you are in the right tournament, the right team. And then you're going to get, most importantly, you're going to get those things you really want, which is what all of us want: community, confidence, and purpose. You're living your purpose. You're doing your highest potential. You're feeling good. You're having that love and belonging from your wife, your girlfriend, your kids, your friends. That's what it's all about, right? Getting past these hurdles and getting out of this kind of survival mode. And the opposite side, like not investing in your health and not investing in your brain health, you can end up with brain disease, like not just that Alzheimer's, but just not being your best, losing money, losing your bankroll, feeling isolated, feeling that anxiety and depression, feeling the self-doubt, and really feeling like I'm wasting my life. I could have done so much more. So, you're here because you want a durable solution to win more games. And now know that quick fixes like this duct tape on a tire are not addressing the real root causes. And we've shown you the winning poker process to naturally increase mental focus, speed, and endurance so that you can get more money, confidence, and recognition. And we've seen that the old way of doing things and going it alone just simply isn't cutting it. And that the only smart way forward is to use this new approach: the test, fuel, hack, charge, and fire. So we're going to give you one more example of a case study of someone just like you that's done this.
All right, here's the case study of one of our favorite clients, Zach. He's super fun. And Zach came to us with a high-stakes tech career. He works in tech. He was a former rock drummer with low-grade TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, from years of that rock and roll lifestyle, banging his head. He came to us with persistent inflammation in his brain, nerve pain, and headaches. He already kind of tried everything. He tried a paleo diet. He was working out. We met him at a gym. He thought he was making healthy food choices. He tried a multitude of supplements, and he suspected that he had food sensitivities and gut issues. But as much as he tried with previous practitioners, he could never get any clear answers on what to do and how to proceed. And this is what he wrote to us after working with us for literally just a couple of months. We worked with him, we ran the right tests on him, we identified some food sensitivities, and gave him some supplements. And this is what he said: felt super alert for the next few hours, don't feel weird, just alert. You guys are such ballers, keep it up. And yeah, so another happy and satisfied customer. And Zach was super fun to work with. All right, you guys, so you can do this. We can do this together. Your brighter future is within your grasp. Imagine never having to have another sleepless night worrying about whether you lose your bankroll or your relationship. Imagine how good it feels when you know you can dominate your table with limitless intuition, like Phil Ivey here giving you the eye. And if you'd like us to help you do this, we'd be delighted. And here's exactly how we can help you. We have set aside time in the next 48 hours to speak with you personally about how you can apply these strategies that we just showed you in your life starting today, by getting with us on this, what we call the competitive edge call. The competitive edge call is a 45-minute call where we'll talk to you on the phone, and we will put together a specific game plan for your specific situation to help you win more games and increase your hourly rate. So, if you want to feel limitless confidence at the table and finally get the respect that you deserve, if you want to have emotional stability and peace of mind to show up as the best version of yourself, and if you want to do this all without overhauling entirely your busy life, then this is for you. The competitive edge call. And here's exactly how we'll do this together. First, we will identify your top 3 health roadblocks limiting your poker results. Then we'll develop your top 3 action items to start beating more games now. And finally, we'll build your customized roadmap to upgrade brain power and career longevity. Does this sound good? Awesome. And the best part is that this call is absolutely free. And here's why.
Yeah, here's why. Normally, we charge $300 for an hour of our time. The reason we offer this free call is because we truly enjoy connecting with motivated players like yourself, and we believe it's the only true way to start a relationship on the right foot. The other reason we offer this call for free is because we know a good percentage of people we speak to will want to work with us to most efficiently meet their goals. And if you find the plan we put together helpful for you and you want to work together thereafter, then we can tell you more about our Brain Power Blueprint coaching program to help you upgrade your brain power in the most efficient way, quickest way from A to Z. It's not cheap, but it's also not overly expensive. And it's certainly a lot less than trying to do things on your own and continuing to struggle. But we want to reassure you that this is not a high pressure sales pitch in disguise. Neither one of us are salesmen. We don't like selling things. We're here to help people. And if we're not a good fit, there's no hard feelings and we'll part as friends. We're not going to pressure you or pester you in any way. We're going to talk about you. And if we have a good conversation, give you some insights into that. That's our way of giving back to, giving back to the world, really, to helping other people where we've had all the same pain of feeling, like the anxiety, the depression, and the brain fog, and feeling frustrated, not living our purpose. And, we just love helping. So, we're running a business, obviously, but we love helping people as well. That's our deepest truth. So, but before we go any further, you need to know that we can't help everybody. This is not for you if you're a victim. If you have a victim mindset, you're going to complain about things instead of taking action. This is just not going to work. This is a program, it's done with you, not all the way done for you. It's going to require work. Leading with fear. If you want to choose comfort over courage, like, well, I like this the way I've been doing things forever. I don't really care about getting that much better. I want to stay comfortable. I don't have the courage to make changes in my life. Well, it's not going to work. If you break promises and don't keep your commitments, as you're one of the people that sign up for courses, don't actually do them. This isn't a DIY course you just sign up and stick in your desk drawer. It's something that requires your participation. It's going to require you to make some of those tough changes. And finally, if you are conventionally health minded, as in you're stuck in the past and you're like, hey, I don't really believe any of this newfangled stuff. I think natural stuff isn't going to work. Well, that's okay. Everyone's on their own journey. It's definitely not the results that we've seen, the best results with ourselves, but everyone to each their own. Alternatively, this is for you if you're ready for more wins now. You've tried it all and you're like, you know what? I'm ready for action, coach. What do I do? Bam, in the right place. If you make decisive decisions on solid value propositions, and if you're a poker player, you probably do this. That's all poker. What's a value proposition to make a decisive decision? Well, this should be an easy ROI. The investment of our program versus what you could win in a single tournament is frankly peanuts. So this should be an easy call. If you have the discipline to finish tough projects to completion, like you're not just going to go for a week and be like, well, this was hard actually to do some work. I'm just going to give up. You know what? The best things are all the things that you have to invest in, right? The things that are super easy are never the things that are really worth it. And this is something that's investment, but you're going to get a ton of payback for it. And finally, if you have a learner mindset, you're willing not just to change your doing and your thinking, but like your being in the world. This is how you're going to show up in the world. How you think about it from when you get out of bed in the morning to you go to sleep. You're willing to change all this stuff about your mindset so you can be a better version of yourself, then you're in the right place. So if you meet our criteria, here's what to do next. Click the button below. There's a button appearing below the video right now where you can click to book this competitive edge call with us. You can also type in the URL manually, go to anabolicaces.com/apply, and it will take you to the booking page. Looks similar to this to book your call. And again, a reminder what we're going to do on the call. If you want a free 45 minutes with us, Chad and Natasha, we're pretty awesome, to discover your top 3 health roadblocks limiting your results. Those are the things related to your brain and your body, all the things we've discussed in this masterclass that are specifically limiting to you. Fill out the questionnaire, and we're going to dive into that, explore them on the call. Then we're going to give you your top 3 action items to beat more games now. These are kind of the low-hanging fruit, the easy wins that you can take right off of this call, right into your next tournament. Get right off the phone with us, jump online on a poker game, and you're going to be able to have more wins with that. And finally, we're going to give you a customized roadmap for career longevity, because this is the thing. If you have big losses or a bankroll swing, it's not just about, the fear of like, oh, I lost a little bit of money. It's like, can I do this for the long term? That's really what we're going to be, exploring in this call, is what's a plan for you so you can do this, for as long as you want to without having to go get another desk job or boring career with a lot of pressure and demands. You want to deal with that kind of stuff. So we're going to help develop a roadmap for you to be able to maintain your poker career.
Yeah, so if you guys want all these things, then this call is for you. So simply click the button below or navigate your way over to anabolicaces.com/apply, and we're going to grab a time to chat with you in the next 48 hours. And once your time has been selected, you're going to find a form that you're going to fill out with a few questions, just so that we can get a better idea of who you are and who we'll be talking to. And that way our call is going to be as productive as possible. But remember, you guys, time is of the essence. Since we only have so much time that we can do these calls each week, and there's just the 2 of us, it's just Chad and I, we do the calls together. Since we only have so much time, this is a first come, first serve opportunity. And once the spots fill up, well, they're gone. So if you're serious about improving your brain performance in your poker game, and if you meet our ideal client criteria, then go to anabolicaces.com/apply and book your call with us right now while it's still top of your mind. And you now have 2 choices.
Yeah, so one of my favorite movies, The Matrix, here with Neo. You get the red pill or the blue pill, and it's 2 choices, just like Morpheus is saying here. You can continue on doing what we've always done and get the same results, or we can, for Neo here, you could take this pill and you can see the truth. Well, for you, that's going to be jumping on the phone with us to put together a winning game plan to set you up for poker success, to finally get those big, consistent tournament wins and live game cash results that you want. We're going to help you put together that plan. So you've watched this entire training. You've already invested, this hour plus of your time. And you want to create laser focus and nerves of steel so you can beat these toughest games. And you know that you're simply not getting the results you want to on your own. So let's take advantage of this opportunity now. Click the button below or go to anabolicases.com/apply and let's do this together. We know that it can be overwhelming. We know that there's a lot of other information and a lot of other, coaching programs for poker out there that are promising results with this and that. We think that we've done, a pretty comprehensive job here in this masterclass showing you why maybe a lot of those things are missing the boat. It's not that they're bad. It's not that learning more poker strategy is not great. And, it's something that is a lifelong thing. But when it comes to getting an edge, we really know that we've got something awesome here. And frankly, this is your chance to get an edge up on the other players around you because there's not, our client roster, we are a concierge practice. Like this is the VIP thing. This is low number of spots that we're offering here. We're not going to help, all 8,000 players at the main event. We have a limited selection in our coaching practice. So we're taking on the people that want to be the best of the best. They want to go from A to Z. They want to upgrade their brain power. They want to get those big wins and just be their best. And it's like, imagine how you would feel at the next final table that you're at when you know that the rest of the people around you don't have these secrets. They don't have, their custom tuned supplement stack. They don't have that laser focus and that edge next to you. It's like, do you want to be the guy with all those secrets up your sleeve? Do you want to have the aces up your sleeve that you've got brain performance and you're not going to go on tilt? You're not going to have emotional swings because you've got it. You know that you're fueling your body, your brain, you're doing the targeted exercise and meditation breaks and all these things that we can teach you in this online program, 6-month intensive program that can really change your life, change your brain, change your results at the poker table, and really, along the way, change you into just a better version of yourself. Tighten up, that gut a little bit, like I did, lose some of that belly fat, like just feel happier and feel joy in your life. And really, that's what it's all about, right? Like we're here because we love the game of poker, and that's why we play it. But in reality, we also just want to have joy and connection in life, and that this is all the same thing. It's really, in terms of the overall, it's an easy win and an easy call.
It's been a pleasure spending this hour plus with you guys. So we look forward to speaking with you on the phone. Go ahead and click that button below or just go to anabolicases.com/apply. We'll hop on the phone with you. We'll spend 45 minutes one-on-one with you, or 2-on-1. There's 2 of us, 1 of you. And let's do this. Let's do all the things that Chad just said, and we look forward to it.
Great. We will talk to you soon. Thank you again for attending this masterclass. And until we talk again, cheers.
Talk soon.